On stage with Robert Bidge, your Chief Customer Officer at Cinch. So, there's your clicker. Can I have a massive round of applause for Robert, please? So many of your fans have showed up today.
A couple.
Satisfying. So, for anyone in the audience who doesn't know who you are and what you do, can you tell them what you do today and what was your journey to get to that role?
Yeah, so I'm Chief Customer Officer at Cinch. I previously worked at The Telegraph and at Yahoo, as one of the stands over there, and a couple of startups in London and then also in the States. And I joined Cinch about 18, 19 months ago. The brand is only 20 months old, and business is only 20 months old. And here we are today as a household brand.
And what kind of startups did you work at?
I worked at a behavioural targeting startup in London. Before that, I worked at a digital out-of-home startup in the States. So those are the startups I worked at.
And so what drew you to Cinch? It's a very young business. They must have had a pretty exciting proposition for you to come on board with all that experience.
Yeah. For me, the thing that sort of blew my mind was, here was an industry, this was the end of 2020, and here was an industry, the automotive industry, that hadn't really been affected by the internet, not massively. And as I started to understand what we were trying to do, and trying to build an end-to-end D2C business for selling cars, suddenly thought, wow, this really has the opportunity to grow massively. And also we'd had the pandemic was going on, and consumer mindset was changing, consumer appetite to buy very expensive items, circa £20,000 items, completely online, without having seen them. And so it was a bit of a punt, because it hadn't been done before really, but the thing that sort of really sold it to me, well, a couple of things. One, the chairperson, she is a marketer, and when you're trying to build a D2C business, you need somebody that understands marketing and believes in marketing. You're smiling. And the other thing was this feeling that this was sort of the tipping point for e-commerce, but at a scale and at a price point of something like a car.
And so can you, for anyone who isn't massively familiar with the products and the process, can you just walk us through what you believe is special about it? And,
Yeah. So for those of you in the room, and you guys are a lot of you are e-commerce pros and experts, it's an e-commerce engine that enables consumers to buy a car in 20 minutes. They can genuinely do that. If you're buying it on finance, it can take a bit longer, but if you're buying with cash, you can buy a car in 20 minutes. You can select from 10,000 cars. We're the bulk of the cars we own. There are some which are part of a marketplace, and that, in my mind, is relatively simple. It's not, but but compared to all the people in the room here who are doing a lot of e-commerce stuff, it's not dissimilar to what you guys are doing. The really smart and bit where we have a real advantage is the logistics side of moving thousands and thousands of cars around the country, and you can get a car delivered to your home genuinely in 72 hours. You then have 14 days to drive it. If you don't like it, you can just call us up, we'll come and pick it up, and you'll get your money back. So it's that sort of 20-minute buy, deliver in 72 hours, and then you've got 14 days to use it. And for me, and I'd never worked in the automotive industry before, for me to see this and think how much of a better experience it was than my previous buying experiences of going into physical dealerships, I thought, wow, this is fascinating and this has got legs.
Have you bought a car through Cinch?
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, the guy turns up, he delivers your car, he's super knowledgeable about it, it shows you it all, takes you through it if you want to, or if you know the car already, and then, I mean, it is literally, and so we built all the messaging and the marketing, the faff-free. Hopefully those of you that haven't been living under a rock have seen our advertising. That, you know, you'll have seen the faff-free messaging that we've put in everything that we've done, and ease is a key pillar of our marketing messaging.
So who's loving this? Who's buying cars in 20 minutes? Like what sort of segment have really leapt on?
We've actually just completed our second round of segmentation as a business, customer segmentation, and it surprised me that we thought it would be the classic early adopters, but it's not. It is a true broad spectrum of Britain, from 17 to 70-year-olds. That you're still slightly over-indexing on some of the sort of more aspirational type segments, but it is the full spectrum, and you see learners who just passed their test through to people that are downsizing for a smaller car. Like, it is the full spectrum. It's incredible.
So just to play that back, you have 17-year-olds buying cars in 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, with their parents' credit cards. Yeah. Be careful out there.
What could go wrong? So let's talk about sponsorship. So what's between marketing and sponsorships for a digital product versus a physical one? What are the differences?
Yeah.
What's similar, and what's the transition like for you?
So I've always worked in businesses selling, I guess, almost just pure digital products. So at Yahoo, we were selling digital products. At the Telegraph, we were selling digital subscriptions. We were selling newspapers as well, so there was an element of physical there. But and now with Cinch, we're selling a digital product, we're selling a physical item, but selling it digitally. And I believe that for digital brands, you want to have a physical element to your marketing. You want to be interacting with consumers, you want to be building the trust, and people want to be able to see the brand in a real, and sometimes the product in a real physical environment. So because we're pure e-commerce, it's my belief that the marketing side of it should have an element of experiential and experiences. And so we've heavily invested in events and sponsorship, and you will see that I'll run you through a couple of slides in a minute and showing you some of the sponsorships that we've done.
Should we do that now?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to just jump up so we don't obscure the slides?
Yeah. So the first slide I'm going to show you is when we started to think about music and as one of the areas that we wanted to sponsor, and we worked with Live Nation on this. This was during the pandemic. So this was what sort of started to get me to think a little bit about investing in music sponsorship. I'll talk about some of the sports in a minute.
Coast to coast, signs of reopening.
England takes its next step in easing lockdown restrictions from today.
5,000 fans turned up to this show in Barcelona.
We now know when concerts will return.
I wanna dance when we got time to move. And I wanna run till the edge of the world with you. Don't wanna waste no time on fighting this feeling. At least now while my heart's still beating, I wish the love was endless too with you. So come on. We're only young ones, wild and free together. We're only young ones.
Yeah. So when we were thinking about this was during the pandemic. So it was a big punt. We didn't even know 4 weeks out whether the events were going to happen, and we organised. We did a deal with Live Nation to get our headline sponsorship for 6 festivals across last summer. And the brand connection that you get, especially when people have been locked down for so long, is incredible, and the depth of that brand affinity that you can create when people are exposed to your brand for 2 or 3 days, depending on the events that they go to. So this was at Creamfields. This is my particular music genre. You might think that might be weird with my age, but yeah, I like a bit of raving. We've also looked at other areas. So football sponsorship is an area. Another passion point In Scotland, we sponsor the four main leagues in Scotland. This has gone so well that people now refer to the championship up there as the Cinch. We've also had Ryland Clark-Neal being very involved in the winners, tweeting that when people have won the championship, they've cinched it. And Cinch has become part of the vernacular in Scotland, and again, building affinity with people, getting the brand out there has been incredibly successful. We outsell in Scotland more than any other country now because of this sponsorship. Another example of how sponsorship works really well. We did stuff with NFL. We were looking for every part of the strategy of our sponsorship and partnership portfolio looks at different audiences and different segments. People that are big into NFL, very different from, say, the Scottish football fan, or indeed the Live Nation music fan. This one has just been the gift that keeps on giving for those of you that are cricket fans. When Johnny did this in the first test and we won, England won, we were on the front page of 6 of the 8 newspapers in this country. And just incredible earned media, as well as we just saw the data that they had their 3rd highest ever test series in terms of viewership on Sky. Obviously it helps when the team is playing like they're playing, but the earned media from doing this, and we launched in a pandemic, right? We were one of the brands that backed some of these sponsorships in a time when other brands weren't doing that. So we were a bit lucky, but equally we were ballsy, and we took some risks. This is at Latitude, maybe Isle of Wight Festival, another music festival that we sponsored, and then this is Creamfield South very recently, a couple of weeks ago, and that's Latitude, and the next version of Latitude is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. The final, sorry, and I'll carry on going. The final bit is we've also invested heavily in out of home, particularly in taxis and trucks. And again, we think it's a good bit of context for the brand, and it's also, when you're trying to build a brand from the start, like we've done, it's a great way of getting us out and getting us noticed. All right, we'll talk about results in a sec. There you go.
Great. So the brand's been around for
20 months. Yeah.
20 months. And
yeah.
So how's the brand changed in that time? Is it same proposition, same look and feel, or is it evolved?
Yeah, the brand is very similar. Ease is still the core message. The faff-free motoring is our mission. What we started to bring superlatives into our brand, so the largest range, best quality. Those sorts of superlatives have been brought in. And we moved to a new advertising agency, VCCP, and they came up with the cinching it tagline, which we've then moved into both our above the line TV advertising, but also into our sports partnerships. And this concept of cinching it, of buying a car, giving consumers confidence that you're buying something so expensive in the online world, and then giving them the confidence that they're gonna get a great experience. So that's the evolution of it. We've moved to this idea of cinching it as our sort of cornerstone of our campaigns.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
It seems like you've got budget.
Yes. Done okay. It's a good gig.
Which is great. So you've got this like national infrastructure that can flog cars to 17-year-olds in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, no, 72 hours. You get it to them.
Amazing. So what would your advice be to brands who are just, that don't have that kind of budget, they can't drop it on the Latitude or a sponsorship of a cricket team? What are the core principles that you're dialing into here, as well as supporting them in a massive way?
I think for brands that don't have the budget, I've worked in those businesses where you have less. Let me answer it for those that do have the budget. I think, first of all, because there are brands out there that are doing this, and there will be many in this room who are thinking, I've got significant budget to spend. I think what we did well was we invested in a time when people weren't investing, and so we were able to negotiate well. We were able to get a share of voice that others were at the time pulling back on. And so if we are going into a difficult time in the next year or so, then don't be afraid, be brave as marketers, and you know, that is, I know it's cliched, but it's true. If you invest in a time when other people aren't investing, you come out the other side as a stronger business and brand. If you don't have the money, it's obviously harder. You obviously have to be selective. You have to choose the media that you feel fits you best and where you feel your segments are most represented, and then try and find the portfolio or the indeed the one sponsorship that you need, or the one bit of media that you're focusing on.
So you showed us a few sponsorship activations, and it seems to have obviously definitely landed in Scotland as you're part of the vernacular.
Yeah.
But how is your, I don't know, like 23-year-old off the red Latitude connecting back to the product, even if they have great recall? Like how are you connecting the dots?
Yeah.
Strategy.
Very good question. The CRM side is pretty important still. Email still works. It's remarkable. I was, years ago at Yahoo, they were saying, oh yeah, email's dead. It's not dead. It still works. So we're doing a lot of competitions. We're trying to engage with people when they've after the festival. We're doing money off offers, those sorts of things. We're giving them opportunities to win tickets for the next year. So we're trying to build that first party data. Still is an important part of any business. And then on the social media side, we're trying to build followings that engage with those audiences. The thing is with buying a car is you really buy a car every sort of 3 to 5 years. So it's about knowing when someone's in the market to buy. You want to keep them warm, as warm as you can during that time. But once they show signals that they're trying to buy you, that's when you want to go hard.
Right, we've got a minute left for your barnstorming results.
Okay, let me just move out of the way. So I mean, look, nothing here that you wouldn't expect or you wouldn't hope for in terms of awareness of the name in the title, the awareness of Cinch, the brand affinity, the consideration. It's all pretty high. This was for the music festivals that we did with Live Nation. So excellent. I think when you go to a music festival, you're often there for 2 or 3 days, and so the ability to build that awareness and affinity for that amount of time is golden.
Massive round of applause for Robert and the great work at Cinch.